Hello, everyone. This is Dan Gramza, and welcome to dangramza.com Market Studies for Monday, May 4th. What we see here in the S&P, well, before I get into that, if you're not familiar with these videos, we're looking at a daily chart, and it's a candle format. I interpret it with what I call behavioral Japanese candle charts. You'll see red and green lines. Well, the red means sell, the green means buy. Dashed lines means it's something that happened earlier in the week. And you can go to dangramza.com and you'll see 10 years worth of these videos. So you could go back a few days ago and play that video. And what you would see would be how these lines change over time. Now let's talk about what's happening here. As we went through in the advanced video, a lot going on fundamentally that's driving this market. Earnings are really interesting. And let me just tell you one of them that I think is interesting. 314 companies have reported in the S&P so far. 83% have done better than the earnings estimate. 78% have done better than the revenue. We're seeing a market that's really moving on this positive belief of what's going on. And it doesn't appear the Middle East situation is not having as much influence as we would expect. Now, this is not a sign of confidence going into the close, as we found sellers at these highs. So be cautious if you're on the long side. These are not buy and sell recommendations, but ideas I'd like to share with you to see if you find those helpful. Now, the dollar difference here, that sell down to that buy level is $950 a contract. In the NASDAQ market, we're seeing a more confident close. It does imply follow through to the upside. Next 3 days, very important for that market. Dollar difference here, $6,380 a contract. Over in the Dow, let's get that up here. And in that market, dollar difference here is $850 a contract. And this is a market that's struggling. Remember, it doesn't have the tech sector like the other two markets, the S&P and the NASDAQ has. But it is a step in the right direction. I'm looking for a sideways move in that market. Let's move on, though, and let's take a look at the Russell, the small to mid-cap stocks. Have a positive close. It's what I call a false sense of security, so be careful if you're on the long side for that market. Dollar difference sell to buy level in that market is $500 a contract. When we think about the currencies, the euro making new highs and then giving it back. So the US dollar is stronger against the euro. Be careful on the long side. In the Swissy, same situation. We're finding sellers where we found them before. Look for an inside day in that market. Dollar differences between these dash lines in that market, just to give you a feel, is $425 a contract and $412.50. Let's see about Mr. Yen. Ooh, Mr. Yen made a nice new high on selling. Not a sign of confidence. As I said in yesterday's video, we're looking for an inside day. It gave us that. Again, be careful if you're on the long side. Dollar difference, sell to buy level, $212.50. When we see what's happening with the Aussie dollar, it firmed up a bit. The US dollar got a little bit weaker, but it's a loss of momentum. Be careful at these levels if you're on the long side. Dollar difference here is $120 a contract. When we look at the British pound, it also made new highs. All these currencies were stronger against the US dollar, but it gave that up by the close. Well, let's see if that's true in the Canadian dollar, and it is. So be careful if you're on the long side. Bitcoin, here's a market that we've been talking about, had the bullish structure but no follow through. It's what I call a non symmetrical pullback with regard to a benchmark candle. Now, dollar difference sell down to that buy level, just to give you a feel, is $4,525 a contract. 10-year notes. Price went up means yields went down, but then price came down, which means yields came up. This uncertainty shifted as the yields got higher. Dollar difference sell to that buy level is $812.50. In the bond market, you're seeing something very similar. So yields increased a bit, prices came down a bit. Dollar difference sell to buy level in that market is $1,375 a contract. Let's take a look at gold. Remember, gold has a relationship to yield. If yields on that 10-year note, if price is going up on the 10-year note, you look for prices to go up in the gold market. In this case, it did a bit. This is not a strong move. Look for an inside day on Monday. Dollar difference sell to buy level in that market, $20,200 a contract. Over in Mr. Silver, dollar difference sell down to that buy level was $24,550 a contract. Dollar difference here between the sell and buy level is 300. No, it's not. It's $3,650 a contract. Now it traded below the sell level. So that means you'd be on the short side. That would be the concept. And it failed as this market rallied to new highs. So that did not work out. That did not give us the follow through below that level. And when we look at copper, check this out. Difference between the sell down to that buy level in that market, 1750. And what we're looking for here is sideways move. This is not a bullish market environment. Crude oil's cooling off a bit. Buy to sell level in that market was 1750, $1,750 a contract. What about nat gas? It's firming up a bit, slowing down some. Profit taking going into the weekend. Again, be cautious if you're on the long side in that market. Dollar difference sell to buy level and then buy to sell level in that market is $1,000, and the short one here is $200 a contract. Mr. Bean, well, right now we're seeing some fundamentals that may be supporting this. Remember, stronger crude oil prices puts upward pressure on uh, soybean oil. Anyways, what do we see here? We're seeing buyers willing to hold on going into the weekend. Dollar difference sell to buy level. Again, just a reference, $450 a contract. In corn, buy to sell level in that market, $1,010 a contract. And it's hanging in there. Corn and also wheat. Wheat buy to sell level here, $1,000 a contract. Fundamentally, we have some things going on that could create a longer term positive trend. What we see here in the wheat is we have drought conditions in the plains, so our yield outlook for wheat isn't that positive, but globally, it's not in too bad a shape. So we'll keep our eye on that. It still has a bullish bias. Well, those are my thoughts for today. Thank you for sharing your day with me. Look forward to being with you again. And as always, take care.